News. Josh Campbell joining us now on this, along with legal analyst Ariva Martin. Josh, first to you. Tell us what we know here.
Yeah, so once again, Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin indicted. Boeing is a major fuck up. This feels like deja vu. Yeah, man. Time is a flat circle. Everything that happened will come to be once again.
Criminally charged once again. Obviously, we had been reporting earlier on after that fatal shooting in 2021 that the actor had been criminally charged. Those charges were then dropped. Prosecutors at the time said that that was because new evidence came to light in the case, causing questions about a piece of evidence. A law enforcement source at the time told me that that was because they learned that the weapon that was used in the shooting had been modified in some form. And so, again, those charges had been dropped. Prosecutors at the time said, though, that if they gather new information that determined culpability on the part of Alec Baldwin, they would then possibly refile charges. We're learning today that did indeed happen. A grand jury in the state of New Mexico returning this 2-count indictment. I'll read you the 2 charges specifically. Count 1 is for involuntary manslaughter, negligent use of a
ongoing.
I don't know. But I do remember the DA on this was like so insanely like
negligent.
No, the DA, November 20th, 2021. The prosecutor on this case, immediately I locked from day one. I was like, yeah, this person is like a careerist and very clearly trying to frame this for like right-wing audiences, because she fucking went on. She literally went on Fox News to like defend her position. And with the evidence available at the time, it was just ridiculous. It was like, I don't know what the new evidence is that is like reopening this or actually indicting him. But the OG, in the OG case, the evidence that they had was completely ridiculous. And absolutely took away the responsibility from Alec Baldwin and placed it gently on the hands of the coordinator. Like the person that is tasked with
the armor, I think.
The person that's supposed to be like tasked with giving Alec Baldwin the weapon to begin with.
Like the producer.
The armorer, the weapons producer, and the armorer himself or herself, and then also I think like the guy that is supposed to check it too, right?
Firearm. Yeah. Count 2, involuntary manslaughter without due caution or circumspection. Now, the original prosecutor in the case told me that as part of this lengthy investigation, authorities had determined that there was this culture of unsafe practices on the set.
Oh, they're hinting him as the producer.
Past reports of accidental discharges.
It's
worth pointing out that actor Alec Baldwin all along has indicated that he did not pull the trigger on that weapon. He has maintained his innocence. We just got a statement in here to CNN, a very short statement from Baldwin's attorney saying that they look forward to their date in court. But again, the breaking news now, actor Alec Baldwin once again now criminally charged in the fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust in 2021, which killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Multi-year long saga.
And Ariva, how are you reacting to this?
Well, these are stunning turns of events because, Brianna, we know that Alec Baldwin probably thought that this case was completely done.
I was in New Mexico when this happened, and you're right. The DA was framing this in a very reactionary way. I know very few people who worked on the film as set hands, and I can definitely say there were some lax standards. I said it at the time. This got so much more annoying to me when I learned there's a bunch of Polish guys using their country's only computer to post this stuff. It's like someone who lives in Mississippi rooting for the Yankees. Yeah, 100%.
When I first saw this picture, I thought it was King of Hammers.
King of Hammers?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like a off-road like event that's going on right now. It's like Burning Man, but for like off-roading Republicans.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
There have been rolling blackouts in Warsaw and Krakow because these guys keep using the computer. Whenever they miss a day of post, it's because the president had to make a phone call. Dude, it's funny because
Somebody said it's like Baja but with crawling. Yes.
it's funny because like every time I like dunk on Poland, which is like low hanging fruit, there's always going to be like some Polish people in the chat being like, no, you don't understand. Our government is no longer as far right, which probably is true. It seems. But I'm not going to believe it until I see the leaders of the Visegrad account get publicly shamed and tried for spreading misinformation and making Poland look bad. Okay?
Once the other prosecutors who were assigned to the case dropped the charges against him, we know that he's gone public talking about the case. He has maintained his innocence. So now to be recharged with some of the same evidence and the same gun, the same issue that.
Yeah, Visegrad is a South African Polish guy, which makes it so much worse, that lived in London, I think, which is like triple fucked. None of which is American though. So why are you jerking off to like America's crimes in general? Like why are you fantasizing about America doing war crimes to other countries? You know what I mean? Like what's it to you, dumbass? God. Makes me so mad. What the fuck is going on? Oh my god, there are so many fucking I wish every time I turn on Twitter there's like at least every time I turn on Twitter there is at least like 15 fucking weirdos. 15 fucking weirdos that are like, I'm actually a neoliberal, I'm actually a neoliberal market socialist revanchist or whatever. And then they're just like sitting there. They're like fucking sitting there being like, I personally think, you know, we have to cut the tall trees being the Yemeni population. Or I think that in every prior conflict, America was always morally righteous. Someone on Twitter is unironically shitting on me for America's invasion and destabilization of Afghanistan and Iraq, it seems. At this point, it's like, what are you? You're an animal. You are a fucking animal. Hayvan. Hayvan oğlu hayvan. Anyway.
The prior prosecutors
it is a straight up fucking 4chan poll. Your haters pointed out something I had to side with them on. When you were talking about the highway of death, you forgot to mention how they were only interested in rolling the top of the hour ad break. Come on, dog. It's 4:52.
Did you not roll the 4 p.m. ad break?
It's 4:52 at 8 minutes before. You suck. It's fine. I deserve it. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. I deserve it. Is your brother an off-road guy? If so, let him know. I'll hook him up with a free upcoming training and tour in Death Valley with my dad's company. He said sick.
With respect to the gun at issue having been mishandled or somehow damaged by the FBI, it's going to be interesting to see how this new team of prosecutors are able to establish the evidence that will be necessary to get a conviction in this case, because you still have this gun that was somehow mishandled by the FBI, which is a central piece of evidence.
The interesting part about this, to me, Ariva, is that officials have not been able to determine how the live ammunition found its way into that .45 caliber revolver it was manufactured by this Italian company that specializes in the kind of reproductions that are used on films like Rust. How does that potentially complicate the process of proving in court that Baldwin is guilty of 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter?
It's going to be challenging, Boris, because the prosecutors will have to prove willful disregard. And you are right. Not only have the investigators or prosecutors not been able to determine how live bullets or live ammunition.
I actually don't understand. I actually do not understand what the new information is. Like, did they explain it? Like, what is different about this case from the last time it was deliberated on at least a little bit, and they dropped it? They just chose to bring it back up. Fuck it, YOLO.
Ended up in the gun. They don't even know how live ammunition ended up on the set. That's still a very unanswered question. They have not been able to, even though the armorer, who has also been charged, she's set to go to trial starting in February. Apparently, she has not provided any information to law enforcement about how that live ammunition arrived on that set. Look, we know that people should not be killed in the making of a movie. This was a tragedy that should have never happened. 2 people have been charged, and now with Alec Baldwin, a 3rd person being charged. Clearly, someone is responsible for the death of Miss Hutchins, but the investigation seems to have been so shoddy that it's not clear to me that anyone will be held criminally responsible.
Yeah, Josh, how much can that endanger things when you have, at least in this kind of legal...
Do you think the movie will be Kino? I think the movie's gonna suck. That's the worst part about it, this, I guess, other than the murder. The involuntary manslaughter, I would say. Like, the fact that someone died is the worst part. But then also, it's like, it's not even good.
Legal accounting here. So many people held accountable, and it's really unclear which one should be.
No, it's a great question. You know, I posed this to prosecutors early on, and they said that they will conduct...
Send that Zionist piece of shit to jail. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, I don't think that that's a standard we can apply, okay? I don't think it works like that. You can't be like, oh, man, this guy's a Zionist. You should go to jail. A lot of people are going to jail then, okay? Like, which, fine. Okay, let's incarcerate every person who is pro-Israel, including probably your mom and dad. But having said that, I don't really care about that as much as I care about like what's going on in this individual case, and it doesn't feel like there's enough juice here. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
This investigation and hold accountable anyone that they believe was responsible. But it's worth pointing out, after those initial charges came out, we heard from numerous legal experts who were quite stunned, actually, saying that, you know, we can understand charging someone who, you know, was responsible for a live round being in that gun, but there's just been this question about an actor, someone who was told on set, allegedly by one of the prop masters, that this weapon was, quote, cold, that it did not have any type of ammunition in it. That person then handed it to Alec Baldwin. And so this is going to be, I think, a central part of Alec Baldwin's defense. 2 parts. First, you know, should an actor be responsible for then checking the gun and then knowing the difference between a live round of ammunition and a so-called dummy round? We know that there was a live round of ammunition in there ultimately. There's also the question about the integrity of the gun itself.
Yeah, and the answer is no, chatters. That's why there's a whole ass person that does that, which was my argument last time this came up. No, that's not how this works. He was not just the actor, though. It doesn't matter. As a producer, he has a level of responsibility for like the lax safety. Sure, that's fine. But if you're fucking asking, or even as a director, But if you're saying like as an actor or even a director, like he went in, took the gun, and shot it. No, the a lot of you have never been on set, it seems. Okay? There are so many rules and so many regulations surrounding who gets to do what on a set, especially a unionized one, like a union workplace. There is a reason for why there is an armorer to begin with. If there was no reason for an armorer, like if the guy's job wasn't to directly ensure that there is a level of safety, okay, then there would not be a job for that. Like someone could just like bring their own gun to work. Like if there is a pyrotechnic accident, you yell at the the technician that is the licensed technician to actually fucking deal with the explosive material, the flammable material. You don't yell at the guy who is I don't know, like misusing it or is either or redirecting it or something in a situation. I don't really know how this would fit. First you say pilots aren't responsible for planes. Yeah, responsible for planes falling apart. Now you're saying actors aren't responsible for every single thing in a movie production. It seems like you have a real issue with personal responsibility. It's true. That's what it is. I just hate personal responsibility. And I don't want to see my favorite actor, Alec Baldwin, get hit with a little dose of it. You know what I mean? I hate that because I love him personally. I think he's sick. My favorite.
Itself, as Ariva was just talking about, whenever the FBI was brought in to conduct an analysis of this gun, they did multiple tests on the weapon. The central question there was, could this gun go off if Alec Baldwin did not pull the trigger? Of course, he has claimed all along that he did not pull the trigger. What the FBI determined through their testing is that gun could not have fired unless someone actually pulled the trigger. Now, as Ariva mentioned, the gun did get destroyed during the course of that testing. I read through this lengthy report from the FBI analysts in Quantico. What they indicated was, we're talking about an old gun. This isn't a prop gun. This was an actual...
Oh, no. Oh no, conservatives are gonna go crazy on this, dude. Oh God. I think you need to arrest the DA. There, I said it. You need to throw the fucking whole ass prosecutor in jail for doing this. I'm sorry. Oh God, reopening this and then also turning around and saying the FBI accidentally destroyed the weapon. The irony is, every single gun nut knows how easy it is to fucking break. Maybe not fully, but like break an older weapon. Accidentally come the fuck on, man. I mean, dude, why? You have to think, why would the FBI do this? Are they just like, did Alec Baldwin actually want to kill the director of photography? And if so, why in the ever-loving fuck would the FBI hide the truth? You are defending the FBI now? No, this doesn't mean I'm defending the FBI. There's a difference between the FBI rizzing up and grooming an autistic 16-year-old Muslim into attempting to do an act of terror so they can fucking arrest and apprehend, versus being a part of this like massive cover up where Alec Baldwin somehow, for no discernible reason, killed his own director of photography in broad daylight by cooking up this crazy scheme, knowing full well that the FBI would come in, swoop in, and defend him and destroy the murder weapon.
Functioning weapon that through the course of multiple rounds of testing, the gun pieces inside the gun ultimately failed, causing destruction. And that's what Alec Baldwin's team seized on, saying, look, the gun itself, there were problems with it. But, I went back to law enforcement, to, the prosecutors asking, and they indicated that no, at the time that the weapon was used on that set, analysts believe that it could not have been fired without someone actually pulling the trigger, which I think finally is why, as you look at these charges, this all seems to center around negligence. I mean, it's right in count one, negligent use of a firearm. If you are someone who is in possession of a
I don't think it's super crazy to investigate the guy that was holding the gun that killed a lady. No, I don't think that's crazy at all. There's a difference between investigating someone and then indicting them on involuntary manslaughter charges. Especially after like especially after the first time, like bringing that back up 3 years later, I think it's weird. Thanks for the technical details, Gunweaves. No, I think you're pro gun control until it's a big Hollywood liberal. That's crazy. Dude, I don't care if Alec Baldwin literally gets thrown under the fucking prison for anything else. The point is, if you're going to ask me what I think is going on here, it smells like a prosecutor who is trying to make a name for themselves. Okay? A Hollywood set, ironically, despite the fact that Alec Baldwin did accidentally shoot and kill his director of photography, Hollywood set does have rules and regulation. Of course, when there's a gun, there's still a likelihood, as is the case with any situation, where you can accidentally kill someone. Right? But overall, if you're talking about regulation, there is a shit ton. There are a shit ton of rules and regulations surrounding a set. What's the story? I'm under the impression that he thought there were blanks in them or have gotten this messed up. Yeah, I didn't even know he said he didn't fire, which I think is weird that he said that. Yes, that is how Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, died on the set of Crow. The entire point is there is never supposed to be a live round in the gun. Okay? That's it. There is never supposed to be a live round in the gun, especially on set. You can't do that. The entire purpose of the armorer is to ensure that this does not happen. There's additional checks of safety that need to be put in place, or that is put in place that was not followed on. The people that did not follow on those checks are the responsible parties here and should be punished for it.
Functioning firearm, and you point it at someone and you manipulate that weapon, whether that's the trigger or the hammer on the gun, and it goes off and someone dies, are you responsible? Prosecutors here saying ultimately yes, or I should say a grand jury coming now and saying yes, that Alec Baldwin should be indicted on those criminal charges. Of course, we'll wait and see what happens next in the prosecution. There was always this question about, early on, whether Alec Baldwin would plead to anything. His team was adamant that he wasn't pleading to anything, that he determined or believed that he was innocent of these charges. And again, that statement we just got from his attorney say that they look forward to having their day in court. And then the final point I'll mention, as Ariva centered on, which this is so important, is that we're not talking about a separate group of prosecutors from the original team that filed charges. This prosecution has had all kinds of issues. At one point, there was one person who was brought on to the prosecution team. It turned out she was a Republican legislator in New Mexico, a legislator in New Mexico who was also working on the case. The Baldwin team cried foul there, saying, look, this probably...
No, the prosecutor wasn't clearly biased and politically motivated evil lib. The prosecutor is a Republican, in my opinion, and is politically motivated because Alec Baldwin is perceived as an evil liberal who has like said a lot about gun laws. I think it's because he's like anti-gun and then shot a gun and killed someone, which is of course ironic because like, yeah, dog, that's the reason why he's anti-gun. Like, like it makes sense to be like pro-gun laws because even in the most like remote circumstances where there's like heavy regulations surrounding a controlled environment, you can still end up having an accidental discharge that takes a life. That's kind of the whole point of why we need gun control. But unfortunately, Republicans straight up cannot see past the first point, which is like, Lemau, ironic that you want gun control when you killed someone with a gun. Oh, God. This is probably my most libbed up take, straight up.
A scathing new report on the Uvalde school shooting is leading to new demands from the families of the victims. They want criminal charges for what prosecutors call the, quote, cascading failures of the police response that day when a gunman killed 21 people at Robb Elementary School, including 19 children. Lilia Luciano has been covering this tragedy since it happened, and she is back in Uvalde today. Lilia, you've been digging into that report. Good morning.
Never in the history of man has a device as haphazardly assembled as this affected such change in the world. Fukuda Tatsuo, son of the former Prime Minister Fukuda Yasuo, and grandson of Seiwakai founder Fukuda Takeo, indicated that he will seek the dissolution of the Abe faction created by his grandfather. Fukuda Tatsuo will probably lead charges by the mid-level and junior lawmakers today in the Abe faction. General meeting seeking the dissolution of the faction. Oh my God. Its options were narrowed down yesterday after the PM's announcement. So it seems Fukuda Tatsuo wasn't just leading the charge for disbanding the Abe faction by speaking out at the meeting later tonight. He and around 20 Abe faction members submitted a resolution to faction chief Shionoya calling for disbandment. I don't think it's the most successful political assassination in all of history, but it's definitely up there. That gun didn't kill a man, it killed his idea. Yeah, it is kind of crazy that this man achieved every single aim that he had and subsequently more than he thought. Now, of course, it wasn't just the man, and it certainly wasn't just the gun, and it certainly wasn't just the cause. There's also a third thing that no one is really considering that played a big role here, and that is anti-Korean racism in Japan. A lot of people are forgetting the Japanese are subservient to American interests, but they still very much don't really like Koreans. So Americans fucked up by tying both Korea and Japan with one unique cult. A cult that was, of course, Korean. That is a major player in this conversation that we don't think about at all. It's kind of funny that, like, racism, you always think, oh, racism bad. Well, it turns out, what about when racism is good? What about the one hyper-specific instance where racism is contributing to the dismantling of a cult that has seized political power, like a CIA-backed cult that literally has dominated that has dominated not one but two countries at the same time. Think about it. It's also good to be racist against Turkish streamers. Yeah, I mean, if you want to make money, it's great. Fucking call me a cockroach Islam defender all day, every day. And like, you know, people will look at that and go, wow, that's really good liberal discourse right there. Can I shit on you to get a hit tweet? Honestly, there's been a lot of hit tweets that are defending me recently as well. So maybe you'll get a hit tweet but for defending me. Think about that. Like a lot. Yeah, anti-Korean racism in Japan is of course unacceptable. I'm joking. And it also comes with like a lot of war crimes that the Japanese refuse to admit or acknowledge. However, I guess there is a silver lining after all, that it ended up completely unwinding a cult. Hasan, we have been fighting so hard in the trenches on Twitter, you don't understand? The left is defending you more. Liberals are dunking on you more. Yeah. But like, liberals dunking on me are dunking on me from the most like fascist framework that you've ever seen. Like, liberals are like, hey, I know you think this bombing was bad, but have you considered that it makes my dick hard? And there's like not really there's not really anything else I could do at that point. It's like, damn shit, that sucks, dude. Hire someone to block or mute trolls like Pokey does. Yeah, but I like the discourse, especially when it's like coming from guys like this that don't understand my point. Leftist, I'm a small bean argument must be encoded on a genetic level. Like, tell me you missed the fucking point entirely, you dumb fuck. Why don't you go back to working for your fucking wife beating, domestic violence doing, cop fucking boss, dipshit? Did he beat your fucking brain too? There's a different guy, right? This is like, or is this the guy who beat his wife? Someone explain to me, is this the guy who is the one who is the wife beater, or is he working for the wife beater? Because I don't know anything about this guy, and I honestly don't want to know anything about this guy. But I thought that he was maybe working for the wife beating cop and not he is the wife. Oh, he's the guy who beat the wife. Okay. He is the wife beater. He beats the wife. He beats the wife. Okay. Allegedly. So he is the wife. Yeah. Anyway, my point was, I'm not saying leftists are small beans, dumbass. I'm saying objectively, left holds no political power. Shut the fuck up. That's it. Yelling at fucking leftists who demonstrably have no fucking political power or no political capital whatsoever is so stupid and so utterly unproductive. Okay, but if you do think that leftists are so powerful as a voting bloc, then fucking start smiling and dialing and get Joe Biden to change his position on aiding and abetting a genocide. Don't give him clout. He's an insufferable debate pervert who's incredibly dumb, more than you think. I mean, they all are like that. All of the fucking debate perverts operate like this. They're just like, the dumber the better. As long as I am aligned on things that, as long as I'm aligned, as long as liberals believe, or as long as they are aligned on shit that everybody believes. Like even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. Liberals always can just be as bloodthirsty as possible. This guy's an ex-cop and a Warhammer lore creator who only makes videos about the white super soldiers. Safe to say his politics are ass. Anyway. This is fun. Strangest kayfabe about the two-state solution discourse is the U.S. is the assumption that what liberal Israelis and Americans mean when they say they support a Palestinian state is not at all what any of us would generally understand as a state.
Do you think that Prime Minister Netanyahu will change his mind on an opposition to a two-state solution, sir?
Yes, give him the right one.
Oh, dude, we're gonna West Wing it, dude. We have a bloodthirsty fascist genocidal monster named Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay. Let me tell you guys, hold on. I'm going to debate him and I'm going to suggest him such a beautiful Palestinian state that he's totally going to be on board with it. Okay. Nice. Anyway. Let's get back to the Uvalde DOJ shooting. I have no statements on JPEG Mafia linking up with Kanye, who's literally wearing a Burzum shirt. Okay, for those of you who are asking. That's it. Are you seriously going to debate BB? No, man. I'm making a joke about Brandon. It's like, yeah. Yeah, I got no takes on that. This is Skinny White Boy 911. Heard you like Burzum. Yeah, friend of the show, Peggy. Look, you know, I'm not going to say anything, okay? Please debate Millet. Yeah. Just use Fantano's take on it. What did he say? Oh, perfect. What did Anthony Fantano say? I agree with whatever he said. The shirt of a neo-Nazi band? No, they are Nazis, yeah. Oh, well, not they. The guy is the main guy. Varg is a Nazi. I guess the guy he stabbed might not have been a Nazi. I assume it's. Peggy has talked a lot his whole career about how much he loves Kanye. Burzum is just one guy, Varg Vikernes, and he's a Nazi. No, I thought Burzum was like the guy he stabbed actually had leftist tendencies. That would make sense. Varg's child was in the school I was teaching in here in France. That's crazy. I'm sure he's not. His child is not, you know, like him. Peggy saying he's been a Kanye fan forever would make this less disappointing if he didn't rap about hating the alt-right and literally Varg on like all of his albums. Yeah. JPEG Mafia linking up with Kanye is the pitchfork version of Bernie's response to Israel. That was Mayhem. Bergam is Varg's band. Oh. Burzum. Varg's daughter, she dates a black guy, so yeah, she is not a Nazi. I said Bergam because Bergamania still lives inside of me. Tell Peggy to stop. He's a whole ass adult, man. I'm not touching that at all. Okay. Anthony the Fantano. Peggy already told you all his heroes are cornballs. You were constantly talking about how problematic Kanye is because of these Nazi-related shit he's doing, but when your favorite left-wing rapper who literally dissed Varg hang out with Kanye who wears a Burzum shirt, you're completely silent. Come on, don't act like you didn't see. Still interesting not to criticize Peggy for hanging out with Ye when you've been so outspoken about yes bigotry and other people who support him. I think these guys just hate Anthony Fantano specifically because he like rated their favorite album a lower score than they wanted him to. And now they're just like, actually, I personally don't give a shit about Kanye or JPEG Mafia. I just want Anthony Fantano to look bad and suffer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation to have with him, asking him about like what is going on in his mind in that situation. Like, what does he choose to gain out of that? Specifically because he was trying to link up for a minute. And I know he like obviously idolizes Kanye West. Kanye got more clout. Yeah, except here's the thing. I feel like JPEG Mafia, Peggy has had a lot of opportunities. I feel like he's had a lot of opportunities for clout, but his whole thing is that like he doesn't care. You know what I mean? It's not like he is it's actually funny because it was Kanye who wanted to link up. So if you met Kanye West, you wouldn't take a picture with him? I don't think I would meet with Kanye West. Like, I don't think I would have the opportunity to, but I wouldn't like, it's not something I would seek out. And I don't know. He has a 10-minute compilation of him glazing Ye in interviews. You really think it's interesting? You just want drama in the feed. I'm gonna presume you listen to Peggy's lyrics and aren't so stupid. You need the 180 explained to you right now at this very second in the Bird app. I'm writing a Bruiser Wolf review. Yeah, Peggy was mad dissing Kanye on the timeline like a week ago, arguing with fans. He's trolling, promoting his new album. He's a rapper. People need to chill. Bad jacketing Kanye is dumb lip shit. Bad jacketing Kanye? Are you fucking insane? What are you talking about, bro? At that point, it's like, yeah, no, he's like 1,000. Bro, he said Hitler was a good guy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's nuts. Okay? There's a difference. What do you mean bad jacketing? First of all, the fact that you used the term jacketing implies that like your worldview is so fucking far removed from anything Kanye has said at any given point. What are you talking about? Bad jacketing with the jacket got a swastika on it. Yeah. Like, this is why I talk about like Western world anti-Semitism versus like anti-Semitism in other parts of the world and philo-Semitism like we dove into yesterday. Okay, Kanye West 100% knows better. Like, it's nuts. A bad jacket, but it's a Hugo Boss jacket. Yeah, it's a jacket made by Hugo Boss, you know, at a time frame that it's not, at a time frame when it was inappropriate. Yeah, and also like Kanye wearing the Burzum shirt in that situation is quite literally an extension, a continuation of him being like, I'm a Nazi. What are you going to fucking do about it? So that's like pretty funny. Because like even in the photo, he's literally flexing, dog. What do you mean? It's not because he's like a super fan of fucking Burzum. It's because he knows that Varg is a Nazi. That's nuts. Bro, he said, I love Hitler. Come on, guys. Please, please, please. It's funny because both me and Anthony Fantano are both Peggy fans and friends. Yeah, JPEG Mafia himself is like, I think also shit on Person 2, he's a mentally ill troll, but let's be honest, become a soft target for libs who want to exercise their pent-up racial aggression. You can criticize his words and actions while still recognizing how inappropriate a lot of the treatment is. No, I would say that about Kyrie, but I would not say that about Kanye. There is a very real, okay, no, listen, here's the thing, that what this chatter is saying, I assume you're black, by the way, because this is like very much, this is like a correct take that I rarely ever hear from liberals, but not applied to Kanye in my honest estimation. Okay, here's the thing. Liberals do like going heavy-handed on black people exercising the same kind of bigotries that you see from white people because it almost sometimes feels like it gives them a permission to shit on a black person. A concept that actually sometimes black liberals even play into by writing articles about like the aggressiveness of black men, or how homophobia is a problem within the black community for straight black men and we have to talk about it. This kind of argument, this kind of dynamic, absolutely. I'm Jewish and white. Oh, never mind. That was weird. I'm shocking that you're so tapped in to this dynamic that I'm talking about as a white Jewish guy who is defending Kanye West's anti-Semitism. But okay, Black Dar is off. Yeah, this is a 2 for 2 today that I was wrong. But anyway, here's the point. Okay, Kanye supporters are actually crazy. I think so. There is a very real argument for how hard sometimes liberals like to go on black men in particular as a way to just as a way to you know, unload maybe some other racial hangups that they might have. Okay? Can you elaborate further? The greatest example I'm giving you is when people talk about homophobia, the homophobia of black men. Okay? It's almost like a liberal way of reigniting the violent black man, the aggressive, violent black man racial stereotype, but from a liberal perspective. Okay? Something I've talked about quite a bit. Oh, black men are homophobic. Black men are anti-women. You know, black men are this. Black men are transphobic. This kind of shit. That's why I think like that is a good example for Kyrie in particular. You know, wrong place, wrong time. You call that liberal? Yes. Yes, because Republicans, conservatives don't fucking care about black people not being woke or whatever. They just say black people are inferior in many different ways. Liberals, on the other hand, who claim to be progressive or whatever, will oftentimes greatly overemphasize homophobia in the black community as though it's like a unique subsect. Okay? Here, I'll give you another example. In reverse. Not in reverse directly, but like people that fucking say that all Jews are Zionist. Okay? If you look at the demographic breakdown of Zionism versus anti-Zionism amongst the Jewish population in the United States of America, despite the fact that the Jewish population obviously is heavily propagandized to by, like other Zionist groups, that demographic breakdown is nearly identical to the rest of the American population. Okay? Think 51% of Jews in the United States of America that are under the age of like, I think 35 are anti-Zionist. That is an almost identical percentage, maybe a little bit lower, but almost an identical percentage to that same demographic across the board for every single non-Jewish subsect of the population in the United States of America. Obviously, it gets higher if you look at like different Muslim groups, right? Anti-Zionism versus Zionism, but it's not that far off base. So the underlying assumption that like all Jews are Zionist is a little weird. It's a generalization that comes across, in my opinion, as like a touch, maybe on an ill-informed. Okay? And also beyond that, as far as like, wait, what? I'm not defending Kanye West. I wasn't defending Kanye West at all. I was actually specifically talking about like the conversation deviated away into like how sometimes back when the Discord server had the BIPOC channel, many black folks were the most vocal about homophobia in the black community. Just saying. Oh my God. Yes, you're talking about the BIPOC Discord server. Okay, you're talking about Discord. What percentage of any American is actually using Discord? Like, let alone black people. Anyway, the concept I was defending, of course, was not even about Kanye West in particular. It has nothing to do with Kanye West. I was just talking about a concept that chatter brought up about like how sometimes liberals will masquerade as progressives while simultaneously really laying into black people and making it seem as though like homophobia is a unique problem to the black community, or anti-Semitism is a unique problem to the black community, or whatever is a unique, any form of bigotry is a unique problem to the black community. And the reality is it's not. It's not at all. It is just another way to, I guess, try and reinforce some kind of anti-black narrative. But having said all of that, for Kanye West, no such, the pile-on, I don't believe is valid to say is happening to Kanye West. Hasan, do you play League? Oyasumi Lumi says, Mons, can we ban this guy? I agree. Apparently, and I can't wait to watch this shit, Kanye West apparently made a 40-minute apology video to Jewish people, which I think is dope. I'm sure it'll be fucking insane. We are in agreement, and I want to emphasize that I wasn't at all trying to defend his anti-Semitism, just that black celebs are under a microscope for that sort of thing. All these chatters saying I'm a guy and a Kanye stan are way off base. Well, you know, we do see a lot of, we used to see a lot of dick riding of that sort back in the day. I think many of the Kanye West fans have just kind of dropped it at this point. Look, I've said this already. Folks. If his next album, Vultures, is a banger, everyone will forgive him. Every single celebrity and every single athlete and every single person that contributes to society in some way, when their output is good, people will rush to immediately save them. That's it. I am a firm believer that you don't really ever get canceled unless you just stop making good hits. The same goes for even someone like myself, okay? Valid or not valid, attacks don't actually fucking take away from my commentary. Okay, or eat away at my audience or anything. What takes away from my commentary is me relentlessly focusing on it and making mid content. That's just the truth. which I do feel like I sometimes lately have done that. I hope that Peggy can change Kanye and be a guy. You got canceled by Fox News a few years ago and ain't made a banger since. Yeah. Georgia just ordered hearings about allegations. God, I don't really. Dude, the news is so mid.
And we are covering a growing.
Every morning, I wake up and I look at the news and I'm like, I'm going to cover this, I'm going to cover that. And then I never feel like it. I'm just skipping all this shit. One secret white guy.